So we're gonna get into my least favorite books of the year, okay? And these are only the ones like I'm only gonna talk about 6 because these are the only ones that really like kind of irked me. But like it's like they weren't that bad. But I will say that there was a lot of books that I did like DNF this year because like it's hard for me to like read a book that I just do not like. So there has to be some kind of like redeeming quality of a book if I'm able to get through it. So it's not that it's a terrible, horrible book. It's just that maybe either the book was not for me or it just like just kind of sucked. The first book that I'm going to talk about of the list of books that I did not like was A Perfect Crime by, I want to say A.E. or A.Yi. So this was like a translated novel of like a Chinese thriller of like this kid who, like, it's not really spoilers, like it's what's going on. This kid who like killed his classmate and then kind of goes on the run from like the police. So once again, it is like, I think maybe because it's a traveling book, because obviously he's on the run from like the police, so he was doing a lot of traveling. So maybe that's part of the reason why I didn't like it so much. But at the same time, there was no mystery in it. From the beginning, we knew who did it and kind of why, or not really why, but it's just like, it was like a weird kind of book. Like, I'm used to thrillers and like mysteries where you're trying to figure out who did it, or like why. Like, there's so many more questions like that I feel like just weren't in the book. The book, it was just like very like lackluster. Like, I only finished it because it was like so short, and I just wanted to like, I was like, this dude, I was just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I didn't like that book was just like, it was just annoying. Like, I would say like, yeah, if you had to like read it for like whatever reason, or like, oh, if you're like on the airplane, like, yeah, it's perfect for like a short trip or like a few hours like travel, but it's not like a work of like of art, you know. And I just did not like the book really, like, at all. It was like, I feel like really one of the worst books I read this year, which is why it's on this list. Very, very terrible. And then the next book I'm going to be talking about on worst books that I read this year is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. So earlier this year, I had started but not finished like, you know, the show on the CW, I want to say it's called like, it's like Sleepy Hollow, I think, you know, with like Ichabod Crane like wakes up after 200 years and works with like the sheriff of Sleepy Hollow to like fight all these spirits and the headless horseman and all that, you know. So when I was watching this show, it made it seem so interesting. So I was like, ooh, like now I kind of want to read the book and like see where this is coming from. And tell me why that book literally like sucked ass. Like, that book was terrible. Like, I hated that book. Like, I hated that book. It was like stupid. Like, I don't know why it's considered a classic. Like, I don't understand why. You know, there's sometimes when you read a book and you can see there's something about the characters, or there's like important themes, or there's something that it tells you about the world at the time, or about like people and like their psychology, or even about like society. Like, there's a lot of books that like are classics because of the way, like, because of what they talk about. This book sucked. Like, I don't know why it's still being talked about like 200 years later. It was very uninteresting, like very stupid. And then like once you watch the show, like, and then you see Ichabod Crane as like this badass, like, ooh, hot, like really cool guy, and then you read the book and you're like, dude, what is this? Like, no, like, disappointing, very disappointing. Like, he was like so disappointing, like him as a character. Like, I'm just like, and it was like very short, like, mind you, it was very short, so I was able to get through it. But at the same time, I was just like, why is this classic? And then like there's people like in the reviews who are like, I reread this like every year. Why? That shit sucked. Like, no, like, I'm not really like a horror girl, but maybe just because it's not like a genre that I typically like look for books in. But if I was gonna be a horror girl, it would not be this one. Like, I would like find better books. Like, so find better books, like, please. Like, there's just so many like especially like gothic horror or whatever. Like, I feel like that's like this book, even though it sucks, I think it just has the fact that it's like so old going for it. But really, it's not even like, it's not scary, it's not cool. Like, it might be atmospheric. If I would say, if I had to say one nice thing about it, I would say it was like atmospheric. But that's it. Like, it sucked otherwise. Sorry, my camera died. That's why I look kind of busted now, because my hair dried. The next like terrible book that I'm gonna be talking about is Ghost 19. Okay, so this book came out, I want to say earlier this year, and I read it like really early this year. And I didn't read it, I listened to it, so I had the audiobook. I don't know what the book was trying to do. I think it was trying to be more of like a psychological thriller, maybe, like with the question of like, is the place really haunted or is she just crazy, you know? But it's like, I don't know if it was like the audiobook, but I like audiobooks. So like sometimes there will be like kind of like a stupid narrator, or like a narrator I'm not like a fan of, to where it does kind of ruin the experience for me. But I don't think it was a narrator. I think it was the story itself. But I know like a lot of people enjoyed Ghost 19, but me personally, I did not enjoy that book like at all. I'm not sure if I gave it 1 or 2 stars, because I just did not enjoy the book at all. Like, it was trying to be creepy, it was trying to be like ooh, like psychological thriller, make you really guess. But like, to be honest, I did not care. Like, I did not care if it was a real ghost or if she was just crazy. Like, I did not care, just because like there wasn't enough of like, I don't know, like a connection with the character to really care about like what's going on, or like to hope that they're not going crazy. And then like the horror elements of it, like the book itself, like weren't even good. So then like I think it failed like as a horror, and failed like as like a psychological thriller, whatever. Like there is like no suspense. Like I didn't have like that creepy feeling going down like my back. Like I didn't think anyone was watching me. Like nowhere in this book did like I feel like a type of way. Like I will say that like I read The Honeys, and like it was on audiobook too, and now like I feel like it had like extra sound effects, like the little bugs like making noise, and it had these little details added to it, and to the story itself was really creepy, to where when I was listening it, I was getting like unnerved. And that's how I feel like this story wanted to be, but it just like literally came up short. So that's why Ghost 19 is on the bottom of the list, just because this book, I did not enjoy it, and whatever it set out to do, I don't think it did well. So that's just, it was terrible in my opinion. Like, and then Neon Gods by, I want to say, Katie Roberts, was a book that I was so excited to read, because I love Greek mythology, and then especially whenever it comes to like Hades and Persephone retellings. So that's what this was. So I was like, okay, like this is gonna be like a good book. So I was really looking forward to it. I even placed a hold like at the library, so that I can like get a hold of it. But then whenever I started reading it, like it was very disappointing. Like every aspect of the book was very disappointing. I feel like the world building, like number one, okay, because I am like a sucker for world building, and I like seeing these like really like intricate like worlds come to life in the pages of a book, okay. But no, this was the opposite of world building. It was like terrible. Like terrible. Like it was like so confusing, because there was no sense of like where the story was taking place. Like, yeah, I know like it's supposed to take place in like in Olympus. There's Olympus on a mountain, and then there's the underworld, which is like kind of like, I would say, like the lower city that is separated by the river Styx. Is it river Styx? So even though the location was like Mount Olympus, and there was like the lower city, like that was like the underworld, like the character would the main character would still make like comments about like real locations like in our current world. I'm not sure if it was like California or like Boston that she was trying to go to school at, or like do her master's degree there. But I felt like there was just such like a disconnect, like between like the real world and like the world that the author had built. Like, I don't know, it was just kind of like really confusing, and trying to like, I don't know, like picture that, because it's like, okay, like, yeah, I get it, you're on Mount Olympus and like the lower city is like the underworld, but then where's Mount Olympus? Like, is it like you have to cross into the human realm just the way that they have to cross the river? And like is there like that whole like big dramatic like entrance, like, or separation of the worlds? Like, I just like, I don't know, just left like a lot of questions, you know? Obviously, like, that wasn't like the main point of the book, but it just left a lot of questions that like just plot holes, like not plot holes, just holes, period, that like I just, it just made it less enjoyable, just because you have to really like suspend your belief for these kinds of things. And then again, I think that the author tried too hard to do like the grumpy like ex sunshine trope. Like, I don't know if that was like the author's intention, but it came off like that. But it came off like they were forcing it too hard, to where like I didn't feel like they were like actual characters. It just felt like they were just archetypes, that like this one was supposed to be the grumpy one, this one's supposed to be the sunshine one, and like there was just too many like illusions, like or like just mentions of the darkness, the light of my life, like radiating light from within, or like a bright up smile that lit up my world. Like certain little comments like that, that you can tell that like the author was just like really pushing the narrative of like Grumpy X Sunshine. But then like also like I understand why, because yeah, it is like Hades and Persephone, and like if you look at the original myth, like he is like, I want to say like the original Grumpy, like he is like the god of the underworld, like he fits like the archetype of who the grumpy character should be. And then she's like Persephone, so like she's like kind of like the goddess of like springtime type thing, like her mother's like Demeter, and like the world went to shit when she was taken from Hades, so she's supposed to be like this big like light sunshiny character, because that's like the world, how the world exists when she's here, like when it's the summer and spring months, whatever, you know? So like I do understand why the author tried so hard to make it like a grumpy ex sunshine trope like characters, but I just don't think that the author executed that very well. But I do understand the intent and the reason why, but I just don't think it was executed very well. And then also I felt like Hades was unbelievable as like a character, because then it kept pushing us like Hades supposed to be like this big bad guy, and then there were times when like he couldn't even like do certain things. Like, I mean, yeah, I'm not like saying murder is like a good thing, but at the same time, like, what else are you supposed to do at that point, you know? Like, there was just like several times when I feel like Hades really should have like done something, and he did not. I'm not trying to spoil it, but some of his actions were very disappointing, and I feel like made the story drag on longer than it had to, because I was just like, what are you doing? And you're supposed to be like this evil bad guy, and you can't do evil bad guy things. But then like, yeah, at the same time, like the author was really focusing on like redeeming qualities, and yeah, he's not as bad as everyone thinks he is, blah blah blah. Like, but at the same time, it's like that's what makes Hades like the figure that he is like his bad guy persona. So like, I don't know, like it just wasn't for me. So the next book is The Strange Library. So I did not like The Strange Library because number one, it was strange. Like I wouldn't say that it was like this terrible book, but I will say that for me it had like no meaning except for like a good quote like at the end of the book. But it was one of those books where I'm just like sitting there like thinking, okay, like what's the meaning of this book? Like, what's the meaning of the library? Like The Strange Library, what's the meaning of the old man, and like of the sheep man and the girl? Like, I'm trying to like I was really trying to like think about the characters and the themes and like what is the author like trying to tell us like through like this book, like why was this book written? And I don't know, like I guess you could talk about like the importance of knowledge, but then like I don't know, the book wasn't really giving like anything about like the importance of knowledge. Like I don't know, I don't get it. Like I don't know, maybe it just like flew over my head, but like really, like what was that for? Like what was the point? What was the reason? Like I don't know, and I don't get it. And like I don't know, maybe I'm just like too stupid for it. Like I don't know, like, but that being said, like there are other books from the author that I do want to read. So like I'm not going to like be shut down towards this author just because I didn't like this one book. But like I'm just more worried about the other books, because there's this one book, isn't it like IQ 84, and then like I want to say Kafka on the Shore. Like there's like a few books that seem really good that I really want to try to read. But now I'm just worried, like, are they all gonna be weird like this? Like, or like, is there gonna be more like depth to the story? Like more chances for like analysis. That's just what I want to know. So I wouldn't say like this book was terrible, but obviously it was not for me, and that's why it is on my list of like worst reads of the year for me personally. I just didn't like anything about the book. Like, and I only made it through because it was like very, very short. Otherwise, like, but then maybe if it was longer, the author could have, I don't know, talked about something else or like addressed some kind of topic. I don't know. Like, so I don't know if like its short length is like, if being longer would have helped it or what, because it just felt like very like confusing and incomplete. Like the author really didn't know what he wanted to do with the story. Like I'm not sure. Like it was just like a bad book from beginning to end. Like I don't know, I just did not like it at all. And then the last book on this list is going to be The Liar's Daughter. So this book was about this girl who had grown up in a cult, and like how's it, like I listened to it on audio, and it was like it was okay, but like I did not like it. I did not like it like at all. Like not only was it one of those like mad like forgettable books, but I just felt like I don't know, like that was its worst quality, was just being so like forgettable and like feeling like nothing really like happened, and then like not getting deeper, I don't know, into like the subconscious of the girl, or like, because obviously she's the main character, so like we understand, yeah, like she should be brainwashed because she's part of this cult, whatever. But it wasn't really like giving that, like I don't think it like really addressed like the whole like cult thing like well, because it was going back and forth, and I kind of don't like books that go back and forth between like the present time and the past, just because like I feel like it's just like kind of like it's annoying. Like it's just annoying. Like I understand why a lot of people do like use that technique, but to me it's just like annoying, and like it's very rarely done well. So like it shouldn't, like, because then like most of the times the reason why I don't like it is because every time they flip to like the present, it gives away everything from the past. So then the point of the past point of view just kind of gets lost, because like it's like the present time like spoils the whole entire past point of view. So it's like, what's the point? Unless like they're trying to show you, like, obviously like by doing the past point of views they were trying to like show like the experience of the girl like in the cult, but at the same time I think like it would have been better if like the book would have focused on her like in her time like living in the cult, and then slowly realizing that maybe everything wasn't as it seemed, and then like spoilers alert, and then like having the compound get raided, and then having her being placed into that home, and then finding out the true identity of the woman she was sent to live with and of her own self, you know. So I think it would have been better if like the novel would have been like that instead of going back and forth. Like that just kind of made me like lose interest. And so like that's why once again, like I'm not saying that these are bad books. Like they just have something lacking. And that's why I did not enjoy reading that The Liar's Daughter so much, you know? And then I felt when it goes back and forth, it loses the impact of being in a cult. Like, you know, I feel like that's supposed to be like, oh my gosh, like really something that a good book can like have as its primary focus. And then like really get in the minds of like cult members and like how it feels to be drawn into that, and then how it feels to slowly watch as the web of lies crumbles around you. Like that would have been a much interesting like premise for the book than what we were given. So that's just why I did not like the book so much. Like I feel like it just could have been done differently, and if it would have been done differently, it would have been done better. But like that's just kind of my opinion. I know a lot of people like the back and forth point of views, and like think it adds to the story. In some cases I do believe that's true. In this case not so much, but really that's just like my opinion at the end of the day, and I mean we're all entitled to our own. So yeah, that's it for the list. I didn't want to include that many books because like I said, like my reading year was like very kind of forgettable. Like I read like a lot of books that were just like 3 stars and that like didn't make an impact and kind of just like sucked, you know? But did it suck bad enough to like not finish them? I'm not gonna get into the books that I DNF'd because I like literally DNF'd like 20 books this year. Like, cause I like the ones I did manage to get through like were like obviously like had some complaints and forgettable, yeah, all that. But the ones I did not get through, like those sucked. So there's no point. Like I didn't even get far enough into them to like have like major issues to really talk about it. So I'm not gonna get into that. But this is my end of the year wrap up, and I'm just excited for next year because like I am going to be more of an intentional reader and like focus on different like authors and different themes and different genres, because like this year just really like kind of disappointed me. And I feel like even though I did read so much, I didn't read anything worth reading except for the books that I mentioned earlier and like a few other like good books, you know? Like I don't want to say like this year was all like terrible, but at the same time it wasn't my best reading year, even though it was like number wise my best, but just material like as in what I got out of the books, it wasn't the best year for me, you know? But I would like to do better next year. So I hope you guys stay along for the ride, and we'll see about next year. So alright, thank you guys so much for watching this whole video. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be long. But alright, thank you so much. Have a good night.